Hi everybody, my name is Sam from affairrecovery.com. Today we are continuing the discussion on cop-outs, or as clinicians would say,
ego defense mechanisms.
Not of the unfaithful. That was last time's video. Today we're talking about an extremely sensitive issue, ego defense mechanisms of the betrayed partner or spouse. So as we talk about it, I think it's important for you to share with the audience a little bit of who you are and your qualifications and why I've brought you in here to be an expert resource to all of us to help us understand how to navigate through this.
My name is Amanda Asproni, and I am a psychotherapist. I specialize in developmental trauma, complex PTSD, infidelity recovery, and addiction.
So this is a touchy discussion for us unfaithful. We struggle with any type of thoughts of, hey, it would be awesome if you would go to an intensive or take a course with us. This isn't a universal scenario, but it is a popular scenario where the betrayed will maybe not want to do work, and they will say some things that we, the unfaithful, unless we're getting help from someone like yourself, kind of go, well, we're dead. We'll just stop right here. So one of them is this ego defense mechanism, or cop-out, if you say, where the betrayed will say, look, you did this. This was your mistake. You go fix it. I'm not doing anything.
Right. So if you were to be hit by a car, it's not your fault, but now you have massive damage to your body. And are you going to refuse to go to the emergency room? Are you going to refuse to go to physical therapy? Are you not going to listen to what the doctor tells you you need to do for your own recovery? That's how I try to frame that.
But we don't want to say that because we are kind of like, hey, we don't have a voice. I mean, how do we help the betrayed? Because typically with these defense mechanisms, there are underlying feelings, right?
Right. So if you are navigating it alone, which we don't recommend, then you can qualify it first and say, I know this is going to be hard for you to hear. I want you to heal and get support. There's only so much that I can do. The therapist says, if you come in, we can talk about it and do some work so that I can help support you in your healing. And also, if you get to know your partner's trauma, if you understand maybe they are coming from an avoidant attachment, maybe they have a coping mechanism from their past where avoiding feelings, avoiding intensity of pain was what helped them survive up till present day. So empathy, right? This is why I think that it's hard for you.
Yeah.
You really need to do it. You deserve it. Another reason that the betrayed spouse can have a negative reaction to being asked to come in and participate in the therapeutic process is because they are dealing with a lot of underlying shame. And they feel like you're telling them another way that they are less than. And that hurts,
makes sense.
Right? Because...
So it's interesting. So what you're saying is they're not, and we're vetting this in real time, so they're not trying to shame us. They're trying to protect themselves.
Right.
But it doesn't come off that way.
No. So when you're in affair recovery and dealing with complex trauma, on top of it, you live in opposite land very often. So they can be aggressive when they tell you, no, I'm not going, leave me alone. They can just completely shut down, become mute, and they're not talking. Those are all signs that they're coming from their limbic system. They're in fight, flight, or freeze. So they're trying to protect themselves from feeling any worse.
I think it's just so important, and every time you've come into the studio or we've done an interview, you've always been phenomenal at helping us see behind their actions what's really going on. So is it safe to say then the unfaithful might be able to say, you might be feeling
like I'm trying to make you go to counseling to tell you all the ways that
you were the problem.
You were the problem.
You made me do it.
Right. Or you have to come to counseling because, see, you were the problem. It doesn't matter if I go to counseling. It's your fault. And depending on what the unfaithful spouse said when there was initial discovery, I mean, they may have said some of those things.
Right, absolutely. So it's repairable.
Yes. Neuroplasticity. Everything's repairable.
we unfaithful struggle with, and I'm hesitant, but I'm going to say it because I think it'll help a lot of people, is that the betrayed can rage. Male or female can absolutely rage and flood and say some pretty awful things. And there can be this mentality of the betrayed that says, you did this, you deserve it. If you didn't want this, you shouldn't have done it, because this is all consequences. This is what you're going to get. And we sit back, male or female, unfaithful, and go, I mean, how are they wrong? But I know what I'm feeling, and this makes me feel so many different ways, which we'll talk about. But is that a cop-out? I mean, I'll let you answer. I'm not talking about that.
So again, look at it from ego defense mechanisms. An affair comes out, that puts the betrayed spouse into fight, flight, or freeze, which means they are in their animalistic response system trying to save their lives and protect from further damage. So trying to explain to them, first by telling them how they're right. So I would say to the unfaithful, tell your partner why this does make sense. Okay, yes, you had an affair, or I had an affair, and that was awful. And then you are shaming me, that's awful, so I should take it. You should be able to do that, like tit for tat. But then it's explaining to the betrayed spouse, yes, they had an affair. There were consequences to the affair that now they're trying to repair. It's kind of like when you have a counter affair possibly on the horizon. Sure, you could go have a counter affair, but there's going to be consequences. So you can shame and you can rage. You will delay your own healing. You will further wound the unfaithful spouse who you're saying that you want reconciliation. And even though they had an affair, and partly we think initially that you just don't have any feelings, you don't care, we can say whatever we want and it doesn't impact you. But it's not true, yes. Dark.
So no, that's interesting. You're saying that the betrayed can feel like, look, you don't really feel anyway, so this stuff doesn't even really affect you.
Absolutely. Because you cheated on me. So what do you care what I think about you?
So we're a narcissist, we're a sociopath,
you don't
have feelings.
You don't love me, and you don't care what I think of you because you picked somebody else.
So, but the truth is, we actually are absorbing that.
Yes.
Now, this is not, oh, boo-hoo, us unfaithful, be nice to us. Not what I'm saying, because I will get destroyed. That's not what I'm saying. But there are consequences. You said it, not me.
I did.
Talk about it. Right. I'm not saying it.
So once you can rehumanize the unfaithful spouse, there are consequences. So it's saying to the betrayed spouse, like Rick would say to me, what is your goal? My goal was to try to repair. My goal was to try and heal. As a betrayed, my goal was to try and heal the marriage. Okay, well, this is contraindicated behavior for your goal. So it's making it about me, because the first thing we learn to do is don't make it about the unfaithful spouse, because that will trigger them too. So why should you do this for you, your goals, you're empowered, you're in charge, because we're also trying to get out from under the feeling of being powerless and victimized by the affair.
So the rage or the flooding or the lashing out makes you, the shaming makes you feel more powerful.
Right, so when Rick would say, pain that's not transformed,
it's transmitted.
And so that's what we're doing. It's really it's projection. It's kind of what we feel about ourselves, right? And we're trying to get away from it and put it back on you.
It's a phenomenal discussion of what's going on behind the scenes, but what's coming out is just this rage and anger. So if the unfaithful is in this situation, dealing with a spouse or a partner who's betrayed, what's one of the most helpful things they can do?
Realize that you're probably dealing with a betrayed spouse who has complex PTSD and developmental trauma. It's indicative of that behavior. So when Rick put me in groups, which I loved, that's what I would see. I would see other betrayed spouses not having the same response as me. Yes, they were hurt. Yes, they were angry. They were still doing the grief cycle. But, no one had to worry the police were going to get involved. And I asked Rick, why are they different than me? And he said, because you have complex trauma, you have developmental trauma, they don't have that. So their prefrontal cortex can navigate their recovery in a more graceful way.
Now, as an unfaithful, I'm sheepishly kind of having this conversation because these are very sensitive, very touchy discussions, but can be incredibly helpful to talk about in a scenario like this with an expert like you. So the next one, I, again, sheepishly enter into the conversation. The betrayed can feel like, if you can just give me more info, it will help me heal. It's kind of like there's this never-ending quest for more info because the betrayed thinks that's going to help me heal.
Right. So again, I want to point out, I mentioned group earlier, that Rick had put me in group. This is the power of group, your groups. So you're in a group with these other betrayed spouses and you realize they are not checking. That's what it actually is. It's an obsessive compulsive behavior. You're checking from the movie What About Bob? He's looking to be safe. Our brains tell us, if we just get more information, if we just get more details, then we're going to feel safe.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of a safety mechanism.
It's a faulty one.
But we have either drip fed them information, or maybe we gave them everything all at once. If we were really good and got a lot of help, maybe we just got it all out there. But still, what do we do? Because, I mean, we're opening up a big can here, but you sit with people every day in sessions. So what are we to do?
Again, so trying to take the focus off of this is what the unfaithful spouse wants and putting it on the betrayed spouse. And what I say to my betrayed spouses is, so neurons that fire together, wire together. Okay, so like you start to flood. Then you go looking for more information, more deals. It's firing, it's grooving. Your brain is grooving that behavior over and over again. Then what's going to happen? It becomes an addiction. You can't stop. Oh, the social media thing. Oh my gosh, like I had to have my passwords changed because I couldn't stop. So it's saying not all betrayed spouses deal with it this way. This is an obsessive compulsive behavior. It's lying to you. We need to get enough information. The unfaithful spouse can say, if they're working with an expert, okay, well, let's go ask Amanda. Is it enough? Is the timeline complete enough now that we can work on integration? And then it's mental discipline. Me saying to the betrayed spouse, now it's up to you. You have to work on mental discipline. And if you can't, then we have to think about increasing your treatment. Do you need psychotropics, something?
And so what we're not suggesting is that the unfaithful would resort to, you've seen the video, go watch. I mean, when we have such a significant reaction, doesn't it automatically just make the betrayed feel shame? Yes, it's a lack of empathy, and you're self-protecting, you're frustrated, you're done with us. You've already been done with us, so now you're done with us again. Woo, there's a lot there. We're self-protecting. We are masters at that.
Yes. You're taking the comfortable, easy way out, and that makes a betrayed spouse really angry because you took the comfortable, easy way out by having an affair, and now you're asking us,
Okay, you can finish the thought. Oh, Lord.
Right, you're asking us to do really hard work that, oh, by the way, could you do it? We don't know. So empathy. I understand that you're feeling that way. Remember what Amanda said. This is not good for you. I'm trying to protect you.
But, okay, so that was masterful. There is a point, though.
Yes.
For the unfaithfuls that are trying to get away with murder, as we say.
Yes.
Who are like, you don't need more info. Because they haven't given the full story.
Right. So that's why working with an expert to say, okay, is this complete? Does this feel complete to me? I can vet it. If something doesn't fit right, or if the betrayed spouse has some kind of intuition that there's still something that's not really making sense, which doesn't mean the unfaithful spouse is lying, because you remember how detox goes. In the beginning, your mind's all scrambled up. So you don't have exact dates and, you're not intentionally withholding.
As always, I think it is so refreshing to see someone who's in the foxhole every day, helping people find freedom and healing. But to go a step further, to find understanding. Like, I think today she's broken down some things with some great comprehension where you go, man, that just makes sense. And a good therapist can just make sense out of stuff that seems so overwhelming and so just overpowering that you feel like you are lost at sea. And so if you feel like you're lost at sea today, I hope you'll continue to watch more of our videos. Go to affairrecovery.com, look at some of the courses. Look, there's literally thousands of free resources and videos that you can watch. There's intensives that we do. If you want to reach out to Amanda, you can find Amanda at her website, which is?
My practice website is healingaffairscounseling.com.
I wish you, and Amanda and I both wish you, nothing but healing and courage today. We know that this is incredibly overwhelming, but I promise you, if you can hear our voices today, there's hope for you. I don't know about your relationship, but there's hope for you to heal. Maybe it's time to focus on what you have left rather than just focusing on what you've lost. I hope you will keep going today.